$155,000 in revenue, and this would go straight to his bottom line. It basically would be $155,000 in gross profit. What's up, guys? In this video, what I'm going to do is actually show you a client that we had a discussion back in November actually about their clinic. So this is just what was going on back in November. This is what we're working towards. Exactly a breakdown of what I would do if I was in their shoes in order to increase revenue to the practice. So our client here is Mike. Mike on average was getting about 80 visits per week. He had multiple 1-hour sessions. Most of the treating time was 25 to 30 hours per week treating. Then Tuesdays and Thursdays were evals. He wanted to hire a additional therapist. So a good rule of thumb when you're hiring somebody is you're just trying to 3x their salary into revenue. So what does that exactly mean? Well, if you're going to pay somebody $70K, you want to get them 210. You want to get 210K in revenue, right? That should be their projected output. So we're just talking about hiring somebody. What does that look like, etc. That's really not what I'm breaking down in this video. But I did just want to cover that because it was on my document here. So easy way to think about it, 70K into 210, very simply put. I asked him about tracking new patients. He was not tracking new patients at the time. Guys, this is a key metric. Make sure you're tracking the number of new people that are coming into your doors, no matter what type of business you are. If you're a medical clinic, obviously it's patients. If you're a lawn mowing company, it would be customers. If you're an agency, it would be clients, right? Track how many new people are coming through your doors every single month. Then you can average it out per week. Very simple. The next thing I wanted to do, which kind of bridges off my last video that I just created, was on lifetime value. So in what I want to talk about here is on average, he was having patients only come in 8.5 times. So he had 8.5 visits per patient. Now in a medical clinic, you should be averaging at least 12 as a PT office. You should be averaging about 20 plus as a chiro office. Those are some, once again, just basic level metrics that you should be averaging at. With that said, if you're a grass cutting, right? If you're a lawn mowing service, you should know how many times on average you cut someone's grass, right? How many mows do you get per client, right? That's the metric I would track. If I was an agency, how many months on average does someone stay with me, right? So that's what that comes out to be. I'm not going to worry about this right now. What we found out based off of 8.5 visits, our average patient's only paying us $680. So how we figured that out is just their reimbursement rate. So I just take 680 divided by 8.5. And this is how much he earns every time someone walks through his doors on average. He gets about $80 in revenue every time someone walks through his doors, right? It's just an average. Sometimes he gets more, sometimes he gets less. Average. That's all this is. What we found here was it should actually be closer to 960. The reason being is if we got 12 visits, we times that by 80, that'd be $960. That would be a 30% increase per patient. So going from 680 to 960. Once again, all we did was increase the amount of times someone comes in our doors, not necessarily the amount of new patients we get, and all of a sudden, we get a 30% increase in our business. Same thing. I would ask myself, how do I get another grass cutting or 3 grass cuttings out of someone's home? How would I have, as an agency client, how would I have, or as an agency, how would I have someone stay with me another month or two, right? What does that look like? Not always having to go find and hunt a new person, but how do you get the current person to be worth more to your business? Once again, I gave 3 different examples here. So 30% increase just by doing that. Total revenue last month was about 26K. So that's just telling me that he had 26,000 divided by 80. He had 325 visits. So there's really only 3 ways you can grow the business: is you get someone to stay longer, right? So they come back more times. You find ancillary products that they can purchase, so to increase their value that way. Once again, if I was a PT Chiro office, I would sell them inserts, I would sell them foam rollers, I would sell them other products to bolt on. If I was a grass cutting or lawn mowing business, I would tag on maybe in the fall you do leaf blowing, right? So something like that. You pick up the leaf cleanup. If I was an agency, maybe I would do additional consulting, right? Maybe I would create something that has to do with accountability. I would create maybe a sales accelerator course that you could have people come through. So finding different ancillary products and purchases that increase the value of the client. You can get more people, or you can lower the cancellation rate, which is just lower the amount of people who churn out of the business, right? So lowering the cancellation rate too as well. So he had a high cancellation rate. He was getting a ton of people to cancel. This is a medical office, right? So his cancellation rate was costing him about 40 grand a year in revenue. He was giving someone's salary worth of cancellations. So I would be focusing on lowering our cancellation rate. Maybe cutting that in half to, from 40, how do I get 20K out of it? And adding 3.5 additional visits per patient. So if we get 3.5 additional visits per patient, that would come out to an additional $280. That would come out to $9,600 per month. Times that by 12, that's an additional 115 grand to the business. And we lower our cancellation rate, so we add 40 grand on top of it. We're at $155,000 in additional revenue to the business. So that's all we did. Once again, all we did was we lowered our cancellation rate. We increased the number of times someone came to us. And all of a sudden we went from making, a total of 26,000. And I'm going to times this by 12. 26,000 times 12, which is $312K a year, to all of a sudden $155,000 is at $467,000 to the business. So if he added, because once again, these time slots are already out there, right? He doesn't have to hire any additional people. He doesn't have to take on any additional overhead, anything at all. All he has to do is focus on lowering the cancellation rate and getting more people into the business, or getting the same person into the business to buy more times. And he would get $155,000 in revenue, and this would go straight to his bottom line. It basically would be $155,000 in gross profit, right? So right before taxes, etc., he would gross an additional $155K. That's like salaries. That's 2 people. You can hire 2-3 more people out of this $155K in order to help grow the machine and remove you more from the business. So that's what the business is missing out on. So the next question is, how do you fix this? So first thing is that he wasn't really reviewing his numbers. So I would be reviewing these numbers twice a week. I would be looking at, all right, on average, how many times is someone going to be coming in this month? I would be looking at, cool, what's our cancellation rate at? Where are we at for that? How do we lower it? The second one is he didn't have SOPs or systems and procedures for cancellations. I'll be mapping that out and making sure people actually have that at the front desk. This is what to do if someone cancels. This is how to follow up with them, right? So making sure we have an SOP for that. Secondly is I would focus on the sales process of helping them achieve their goals. So what does that mean? Very simply put, if they're if they're coming in for chiropractic or PT, maybe they're coming in for back pain, right? So I would ask them, what's your goal, right? And maybe their goal is to play with their kids. Awesome. So what you have to tell somebody on this 8th visit or 7th visit is, hey, Joe, you're getting stronger for sure, but you are not fully healed yet. Let's make sure we can get you fully healed so you can go and play with your kids and not come back in the office. Does that sound fair? Right? letting them tying it back to their goals of why they're coming in here for the first place and why they're seeing you. Because as soon as somebody gets one maybe minor result, they sometimes might leave and go off on their own thinking, hey, I achieved my big goal. It's like, no. We achieved step one. Once again, if I'm a lawn cutting service and maybe the outcome is I don't want to cut my grass because it takes up too much time, whatever it is, then I would have that conversation with someone, right? Like, hey, why'd you hire us in the first place? Well, I don't have the time to do it. Awesome. So if we leave you right now, how are you going to solve this problem? And usually people don't have that, in their head of how they're going to solve it. If they're a agency client, maybe their outcome is to hire the next person and they're getting some results along the way and they're not staying with you for another month or two. And it's like, hey, Joe, totally understand, things are going on. With that said, you told me that you want to hire somebody. So what's going on with that and how are we going to get there then? Once again, tying it to their goals, always tying it to their goals. So trying to figure out what their goal is, tie it back to it, and then just focus on the cancellation rate. So this is what I would do in order to achieve an additional $155,000 in revenue to my business without having to hire more people or without having to incur any additional overhead. With that said, guys, if you like this content, click subscribe below. Go ahead and also check out our free Facebook group. That's in the description below too as well. So go check that out, subscribe, click on our Facebook group. Let us know in the comments too as well if you have any questions. Thanks, guys.